Hello everyone, Joel here. It's been a while since I made a JRPG games list on PC or any platform in general. So, since we are at the early of 2022, I think this is the right time to recap and revise my PC JRPG games list while adding some new games that just released. Alright then, let's get started. Bravely Default 2 story is like a magnet poetry set of Square Enix cliches. You control a team called the Heroes of Light to save the world from calamity using magic elemental crystals. The battle and job systems are still enjoyable, it doesn't diverge too much from the tried and true formulas of the previous games. The story is decent in my opinion, but the side quests can be a bit repetitive at times.
Ridiculous!
Trials of Mana is absolutely charming and does an excellent job keeping what works from the original while upgrading its aesthetics to the modern era. The combat system works well in its new 3D with a tough but satisfying learning curve. I wish Square Enix had taken this opportunity to flesh out the world with interesting side quests and to trim out some of the more tedious dialogue. Even so, exploring, battling, and waging war with bosses all remain really fun, and it comes off as a charming throwback. Shin Megami Tensei 3 at its most basic level is a dungeon-crawling, turn-based RPG with an added twist of being able to recruit the demonic foes you meet in battle, similar to Pokemon. The story has been untouched in this remaster, and the classic gameplay remains as great as it was in the original PS2 version. Atlus has done an amazing job at making this cult classic RPG a lot more accessible for just about anyone interested, from Persona fans to players who just want to witness a great story.
Which would you rather end up in? A coffin? That all you got?
Ryuga Gotoku Studio has taken the opportunity to branch the Yakuza series out, the developer experimenting with some huge changes, most notably a brand new protagonist and the introduction of a turn-based combat system. The result is a highly successful and most totally engaging experience, packed with full of charm thanks to its excellent cast and story. It's a shame that the dungeons and similar areas are often not at all interesting to explore. Even then, Yakuza, like a dragon, still ends up as a great overall experience. Octopath Traveler is a JRPG dream come true. Both its battle system and aesthetic play loving tribute to the SNES era while moving the formula forward in exciting and novel ways. While the 8 different character stories could have used a little more connection between them, but the experience that you get from its content, exploration, and challenges are worth it in the end. Minor oversights and frustrations certainly wore away at you over the 80+ hours you spent with Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin, but the journey was definitely worth it. Its free gacha-like monster hatching loop is always exciting. Its combat and customization are both accessible but still intricate and rewarding. Its story is enjoyable even though a little bit cliché, but exploring this gorgeous world from the backs of your favorite monsters is an absolute delight. Imagine combining Minecraft and Dragon Quest, but somehow it actually works. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is a mix between RPG and open-world survival craft, which seems in most cases to have gotten the best bits of the genres. Clunky and straightforward combat drag it down a little bit, but it still manages to shine above all of the less ambitious Minecraft clones. Even after completing the main story, you'll still itching to spend time exploring its excellent environments and make them your own. Kingdom Hearts 3 is not as good as everyone expects it will be, but even so, this game has made some good progress compared to the previous game. Interesting story, exciting gameplay, varied mini-games, good soundtrack to listen to, and mind-blowing graphics are the values for this game. It's not perfect, the storytelling is kinda stiff at times, and the game's also not friendly with newcomer, so you have to play the previous games to understand the story. But overall, it's still a must game to play for all Kingdom Hearts fans. Scarlet Nexus is a game that presents a story with its unique animations and combined with its fast-paced action combat. The story is quite deep and engaging, mainly because the characterization of each character is strong enough to make their own presence. Unfortunately, the game environment tend to be a bit repetitive and side missions are kinda boring. Even then, the fresh combat mechanic and its new way of storytelling should make you forgive the shortcomings.
He told me that he wasn't suited to you.
Few franchises can get away with similar feeling from version to version, but Disgaea is one of those games that able to pull it off. The game requires you to understand and exploit character stats, equipment attributes, and class abilities at a level most modern RPGs have abandoned in the name of accessibility. Many of its new and tweaked gameplay features hit way more often than they miss. Overall, with its distinctive brand of campy fun and visual improvements, Disgaea 5 is definitely worth a try. Code Vein is like Dark Souls but anime. That is perhaps too simple for a description, but it's also true. It's almost as stylish, well-balanced, and fun as Dark Souls, which perhaps sounds like a slight but is actually a huge compliment. While there are plenty of similarities between the two, Code Vein goes in a very different direction than Dark Souls in terms of storytelling. It brings enough new ideas to the table to set itself apart and carves out its own niche. Persona 5 Strikers' main story is every bit the direct sequel to Persona 5. Replacing turn-based combat with real-time action doesn't stop it from recapturing the feel of its predecessor. Its structure is far closer to action JRPGs like Kingdom Hearts, but the varied playstyles of each character and the story that pulls them along made it enjoyable to the very end. The game contains pieces that sure to disappoint players, but it also provides a refreshingly human take on the classic RPG journey that hopefully will inspire future games in the franchise. Final Fantasy XV can be baffling in some of its questionable choices, but across the board, it hits more than it misses. It provides a lot of fun and rewarding open-world content, enjoyable character progression, and adventure that fills an old and struggling formula with new relevance. Tales of Berseria is a strong showing for this long-running series. Its tragic story of broken people fighting on the wrong side of history makes it utterly compelling, and its well-tuned combat more than makes up for its lack of interesting environments. Though it's quite tricky to learn some of the game mechanics, but once you get the hang of it, you will get the immense satisfaction that you rarely get in any JRPG. Combined with its fun and immersive storytelling, Tales of Berseria is an experience that you don't want to miss. Valkyria Chronicles 4 comes off as Sega trying to get the series back on track. It's a JRPG set in a colorful alternate reality World War II with deep turn-based tactical battles where units are controlled with semi-real-time third-person shooter combat. The story can feel a little bit impersonal and disconnected from the rest of the series, but the way it makes even the smallest characters important and unique is remarkable. While the Final Fantasy XII story is linear, the world is semi-open and allows you to explore large portions of the map from the beginning with only a few restrictions. Combat takes place directly on the map with an interesting variation on the real-time combat combined with menu-driven battles of previous Final Fantasy games. One of the biggest and most meaningful changes in the Zodiac Age is the more convenient progression system. Final Fantasy XII has also received quite the visual overhaul for the Zodiac Age. While it's more of a high-resolution remaster than a full-on HD remake, it still looks amazing, a testament to how strong the original game's art design was. For better or worse, NieR Replicant preserves much of the original experience from its 2010 release. The story, characters, scenarios, and structure remain intact, and this remaster includes some significant gameplay and visual improvements, in addition to an essential piece of new story content that expands the original narrative. This is an action RPG with slick combat reminiscent of NieR Automata, but just a little bit clunkier. The game tests your patience, but the payoff is immense. It's worth jumping through the necessary hoops in order to see every aspect of NieR Replicant's various conclusions. Ys 9 is easily the most ambitious in the series, thanks in no small part to the story and setting. With the broader story and tons of content packed into the game, Ys 9 is still very much a traditional Ys game that built around fast-paced combat. One noticeable difference is how the combat feels. There is power momentum behind each swing and intention in every movement. A small set of changes that gives the combat a more distinct and satisfying feel. Ys 9 might not do everything perfectly, but it's one heck of a wild ride and a good contender for the best Ys game to date.
Time for you to enlighten me.
Genshin Impact makes a great first impression. The anime-inspired visuals are inviting and colorful, and the fully voiced, nicely choreographed cutscenes give the game the feel of a premium product. Each character in Genshin Impact has one of 7 elemental properties tied to them, which greatly affects what they can do for combat and exploration. The ecosystem certainly flirts with being pay to win, but somehow still manages to strike a decent balance so that those who don't want to spend money can enjoy the whole game for free. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4 is the 4th and final game in the Cold Steel tetralogy. Despite the lack of innovation, Trails of Cold Steel 4 does still have one of the better turn-based combat systems you'll ever seen. Especially on PC where Persona 5 Royal isn't available, this might very well be your next best option. Just be aware that the Trail series cares more about plot and characters than any traditional JRPG elements, which mean playing the previous games is kinda necessary to fully enjoy and understand the story. Final Fantasy VII Remake was already a stunner of a game, but its upgraded version, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, demonstrates just how beautiful it really is. The cinematic presentation is phenomenally well served by the resolution increase of 4K, with the game's characters and environment gaining additional detail that makes every texture and material pop with additional realism. The game feels like the culmination of the franchise evolutions, with ideas from throughout the series brought together in a combination that is fresh yet familiar. Though the pricing is kinda unfair, but nevertheless this is the best Final Fantasy VII experience that you can get on PC.
Not bad.
Thanks to Platinum Games' expertise for riveting and gratifying combat, NieR Automata is Yokotare's most exciting game to date. The combat mechanics is easy to click with a low learning curve but hard to master. Moreover, this multi-ending trip is filled with surprises and revelations as well as Easter eggs that call back to the first game and the Drakengard series. As you travel down this various path, you're not only introduced to new events, but also given new perspectives to moments you've already experienced. A Dragon Quest game is nothing without an enthralling world to explore, and this is definitely the best in the series. Every environment feels unique and packed with fun little secrets to discover. Previous Dragon Quest games aim for subtle themes and storytelling, and Dragon Quest XI applies this style in a more modern way. The visuals technically aren't as nice as they were in the original version since it is based on the Switch release, but you would hardly knock the game for this. Not only does the new content and improvements invalidate the original game, but the visuals no longer feel like a noticeable downgrade thanks to an increase in resolution. Persona 4 Golden is far more than just monster slaying games. The protagonist spends a lot of time in the real world and other activities you would expect from a teenager. It will take you a while before you get to the bottom of what's going on, but the school term structure stops Persona 4 Golden from dragging. The characters and their unique quirks make for a highly entertaining gameplay experience. Overall, Persona 4 Golden is a JRPG classic and a must-own PC game.
Let's do this!
Kirito, if you want to strike up a
The Tales series is known for how well its stories are told, and Arise is no exception. The story touches on the horrors of war and slavery, but that's not to say everything is dark and grim. There are plenty of moments that will make you laugh or smile because of how charming the characters can be. Exploring the world feels better than the previous games thanks to an expansive fast travel system. And finally, one area where it really shines is in how much better the combat feels compared to any previous Tales games. Combined with plenty of quality of life improvements, this is an easy recommendation to not just fans of the long-running series, but anyone interested in diving into action JRPG.
Ready for this?
Alright boys, I think that's it for today. Okay, I get it, maybe I'm quite biased into some games that I put in here, but it doesn't mean that if your favorite game is not here, then it is a bad game. Maybe how about sharing yours? Tell us your best JRPG games in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace.